Good morning to everyone. How are you doing on today? How are you doing? I'm excited about today. Welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training. We have a lot to cover today. Of course, I am Coach Steele, and here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, we talk about financial literacy. We take some complicated things and simplify it. That way, everyone can understand it on the same page and grow when it comes to financial literacy. And that's what we want. We want growth and improvement. And so, as we start here on today in February, as you come into the room, you already know what to do. Leave a comment, tell me good morning. Here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, if you are at home cleaning, if you're cooking, if you're driving in the car, I am live on YouTube, Coach Steele's Finance Training on YouTube, and I am live on Facebook under my name, Simon Steele. So wherever you're coming from, make sure you jump in the chat section and the comment section. Tell me good morning, all that good stuff. We are going to have a conversation of what do you do after you get paid? What actions do you take? What system, what pattern, what routine do you have when your job pays you, if you're self-employed, when you pay yourself, when you get contract, when you get paid? So regardless, however that money comes in, if you're retired and you receive a pension or a disability or Social Security, what do you do when that money hits that account? What do you do when that paycheck or that money hits your hand? Let's talk about it on today on Coach Steele's Finance Training. And I want to talk about 5 steps after getting paid, 5 steps of some things that you can do after you get paid on today. So once again, welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training. We know it is tax season, so this is also good for people who are going to receive refund checks. What are you going to do after you get that refund check? Do you have a legitimate plan in place to use that money to its max potential for your benefit? Or has your system that you've done before caused you to lose money, to miss out on funds, to blow it? And so we want a system in place on today that is going to help you keep that money and use it to your advantage and not to the bank advantage or another financial institution, or you have nothing to show for it on today. All right. So here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, the past few Saturdays, we've talked about taxes. Last week was phenomenal because we got to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is passive income. And if you missed out on last Saturday's session with Coach Steele's Finance Training, make sure you go back and watch those sessions about passive income and the power of passive income, whether it's for you in the present, whether it's what you're going to use to retire from, whether it's to create generational wealth. Awesome session last week that we had. So you definitely want to go back and catch it. And one of the easiest ways you can go back and catch it is to go to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you can click on the live tab, and every live that is shown every Saturday is saved over there. And if you are a subscriber, anything that I post throughout the week on YouTube, it is there as well. All right, so 5 things, 5 steps after getting paid. One thing I'll tell you, starting off number 1, very important thing that I'll tell you that you should do after you get paid is look at how much you got paid. Is it accurate? This is very, very important, especially for someone who gets paid hourly. If you get paid hourly, you want to make sure that all the hours that you work, every bit of sweat, tears, potentially blood, whatever it is that you gave that job, you want to make sure you got compensated for. So you always want to go back and make sure that everything's accurate and you got paid the right amount. And that's why it's important to also see what is coming out of your check. So when you get paid, you want to see, is that number accurate? What is going to FICO? What is going to COLA? What taxes are coming out? What goes to, for medical benefits or insurance, short-term, long-term disability? You want to make sure that everything is as accurate as possible. So that cuts out a lot of other issues later on down the line. If you are having a certain percentage of your paycheck go to a 401k plan or some other type of retirement benefit, you want to make sure all those numbers are accurate as well. So, first of all, let's make sure that we're getting paid correctly and it's the right amount. Now, after you make sure that you get paid correctly, of course, when we get paid, a lot of people like to spend money or have to spend money immediately because there are bills, there are expenses, there's debt, things that need to be serviced, things that need to be paid. And before you do that, I would tell everyone after you make sure you got paid the right amount, and if not, make sure that your job makes the proper adjustments. But then you need to start making sure that your budget is in place. You need to know what expenses you have. You need to know how much those expenses cost, right? So before you just rush and start paying bills or start paying debt, you really need to write down on a piece of paper and find out what I would call your baseline is, your needs, things that have to get paid for you to be able to maintain yourself or maintain your survival. And so that's what we want to look at next when it comes to what to do after getting paid, after receiving income, is let's evaluate your budget and find your baseline. And so if you write down all the bills and expenses that you need for the month, all the bills and expenses you have for the month, and the debt as well, when you have that long list, then you can retrieve the things that you actually have to or need from that stuff. And so whether it's your rent/mortgage, whether it's utilities, whether it's food, whether it's transportation, all of those things that you need, that you have to pay, not the wants, the things we just like or enjoy. But if you can calculate everything that you need, then at least you have a baseline. If all your bills, expenses, and rent, everything that you need for the month is, for example, $5,000, then your baseline of what you need in your budget is $5,000. So make sure that you find out what your budget, go over your budget and find out your baseline. Once you find that out, then of course we need to pay bills. And the average person has to pay, their rent or their mortgage usually by the 5th, the 1st through the 5th. And so another good thing that you can do, and I've told people this in another video, when it comes to paying your bills so that you have enough and you're not using so much more of your money early in the month, if you have a lot of bills that are due in the beginning of the month and it really runs through a lot of your money, but then on the second half of the month, you have a lot more money left over, check with the service provider and see if you can move one of those bill due dates towards the end of the month so it balances out, gives you some wiggle room, and you still have some extra cash for things that you may need during the month as well. So we do want to pay our bills. That's another step. We want to pay our bills. So step one, make sure that what we get paid is accurate. And of course, we do want to make sure we review our budget and go over our numbers and everything. Good morning to you, May Butler. Happy to have you tuning in on this morning as we talk about steps, 5 steps after getting paid, things that we can do once we get paid. And as we go over that stuff on today, we already know number one is make sure they gave you the right amount because you don't want to get cheated. You want to make sure that you get compensated properly because you work hard. And number 2 is pay bills, but pay the bills that are required. So that's number 2. We want to pay the bills that are required, the things that we know we need to pay. And everybody's situation is going to be different when it comes to this, right? Because some people just have bills, regular bills, utilities, groceries, things like that, cable, internet. Then there are some people, their bills or expenses are going to be like debt, credit cards, car notes, personal loans, student loans. So now that changes the game on what you'll pay and how you'll pay it because you don't want to be late on any debt that you need to service, that you need to pay because, of course, that results in fees. And if you watch or listen to previous videos with Coach Steele's finance training, we talked about not giving the banks or financial institution any more extra money than what we have to give them. We don't want to overpay in fees and make them rich because we make late payments. No, we want to make payments on time so that we can improve our credit scores, so that we can eventually graduate and qualify for other things. And most importantly, we keep our money in our pockets. So when it comes to paying the bills, you are going to have to look at the debt that needs to be paid and also your regular monthly bills. And when it comes to what debt to pay, there are multiple options. And once again, on Coach Steele's finance training, we talk about this, whether you use the snowball method or avalanche method or cash flow index method. Those are three basic methods that you can use to decide what debt you will pay first in a certain order, in a routine, a system that will allow you to pay your debt off faster. Snowball method is pretty simple. And when it comes to that, it's more like mental. It's not necessarily the most effective or the fastest, but it's still effective with getting rid of debt. Cash flow index, of course, that may be the most effective when trying to find out what debt to pay first based on the balance and the minimum monthly payments. All of this information and videos are on Coach Steele's finance training. So if you aren't familiar with snowball, avalanche, cash flow index, or even using the HELOC strategy, you can dive into Coach Steele's finance training and find that information. Also, you can personally reach out to me and we can discuss those methods further if you need. And of course, why would you want to talk to me about those things? Because I am an award-winning strategy consultant and coach when it comes to financial literacy and helping people eliminate debt. And so that's definitely a conversation we can have. So we know we want to pay our bills and we also want to pay off debt, but we want to be strategic with paying off those debts. And so we have to find out what is essential, what is important, what do you need to pay first. And so if you don't know what to pay first, then it is okay to get wisdom. It is okay to get advice from whether it's a financial advisor or whether it's a financial coach. It is okay to get guidance from someone. That way you're not treading water. I had one client that I worked with before, and she was trying to eliminate a few credit cards, and she just kept trying to put a little extra on this card and a little extra on that card and a little extra. And so there was no system in place. And I was able to work with her one-on-one, and we developed a system, and she learned, okay, based on the balance and based on the minimum monthly payments and based on this interest rate, if you develop this system with paying all of these debts, she found out that she could get done so much more faster, and she began to knock out her credit card debt. It freed up cash flow, and we began to move that money to other places where it is needed. And so when you pay things down systematically, you free up cash flow. When you free up cash flow, now you have money to invest, put away for retirement, whatever it is that you like to invest in, and whatever assets you like to invest in, whether it's multiple asset classes. I always say diversify your portfolio, but it gives you comfort and confidence financially, and it makes it a little more comfortable every month being able to maintain yourself. And you want to have cash flow at the end of the month, because if not, you're not prepared for emergencies. You're not prepared for things that may come up. You're not prepared for potential Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong, or whatever that phrase is. Google Murphy's Law, can and will potentially go wrong. And so we want to be prepared for all of those things. And so when you look at America, and I've mentioned this before, almost 70% of Americans are not, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And we don't want to be in that situation to where you're living paycheck to paycheck. And here's another example right here about why you need to be prepared for emergency situations. And a lot of households and homes are not prepared for emergency situations. As you see right here, it says a $500 surprise expense would put most Americans into debt. Think about it. $500 surprise expense would put most Americans into debt. And that was back in 2017. And it said this is for about 63% of Americans. 63% of Americans. That's a lot of people. That's over half that would not be prepared for a $500 emergency expense. So you have to figure out, are you in that number? And of course, good morning to you as well, Kim Hampton. Happy to have you tuning in on today, guys. If you missed out on the interview I did with Kim Hampton talking about taxes and being prepared for taxes in this season, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and go back and watch that video as we talk about tax season and what to do and potential changes that came along with the new tax season and some tips that'll help you along the way. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her as well. That way you can get some guidance or advice from her if you need it. All right. So we dealt with number 2 when it talks about paying those bills or expenses. And let's get to number 3. Let's look at number 3. Some steps that we can take after getting paid. Now, some people, what they'll do is just automate things. Some people like to keep it simple and they will just automate their bills, their expenses, all of that stuff. And there's different ways to automate it because you can have direct deposits come out of your checking account. You can have direct deposits, investments move from your checking account to your savings account or drafted into other investments, whether it's like your 401k plan or whether it's your IRA or whether it's to invest in cryptocurrency or to buy stocks on different platforms. Some people do what we call set it and forget it, and you just automate it that way. And of course, some people like to invest, and one of the wisest ways to invest in that stock market is to dollar cost average over a period of time. And so not necessarily trying to catch the market and predict the market, but over a period of time, just constantly automating and investing money in those particular assets that you would like to invest in. So it is pretty simple if you automate some things. Now, if you're just starting out and you're not sure what your budget is, I would not suggest that you automate things. If you're just starting out, you're not confident in what your budget is and what you have coming in and what you have going out every month. If it fluctuates and it can get shaky, sometimes automating things can put you in a bind. And so if you're living paycheck to paycheck and it's kind of tight, I wouldn't say, yeah, go ahead, automate $200 to come out and be transferred into your checking account. Because if funds are already tight and you're not sure what you're going to have left over at the end of every month, then it doesn't make sense to set that to automate and there's nothing to pull from. So when you master your budget, when you get used to and understand your numbers and you've done a good job, you've done due diligence with your numbers, your information, what you have coming in, what you have going out, then you get more confidence with automating. There are some people, they have more than enough money coming in every single month, but they don't have the discipline not to spend it. So in that case, it would be good for someone to automate a certain amount, go out of their checking account into their savings account or into those investments automatically, so it doesn't give you a chance to have a bad habit and spend up money that you don't need to spend. And so everybody's scenario is going to be different. And if you need further guidance or understanding of that, definitely feel free to connect with me and we'll discuss it depending on your situation. These are basic steps, but everybody's financial situation is completely different. So this is not one size fits all. These are just some basic steps that can help you when you get paid, when you receive money, on some things you can do to improve your situation and to make sure you're being disciplined and have some type of structure of when you get paid. Good morning to you as well, Shauna Johnson. Thank you for tuning in on this morning on Coach Steele's Finance Training as we talk about what do you do when you get paid? Everyone has different things that they do when they get paid. If you're tuning in on today, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your comments. What are some things you do strategically when you get paid? Talk to me on today. I want to know, what do you all do when you get paid? Like I said, step number one thing I do, I make sure I got paid the right amount. Everyone has different jobs, like I said, whether it's hourly, whether it's salary. Some people get paid commission off of sales. You need to go back and make sure your numbers are right. How much did you sell? What products did you get? What services did you provide? All of that stuff. I'm going to read one comment when we talk about thoughts and comments of what do we do once you get paid. Shauna says she stays in the house. Why do you stay in the house? Okay, you stay in the house, but when you get paid, do you look to make sure it's the right amount? Do you go through your budget, or you just get paid, stay in the house so that you don't spend any? Give me some more details. What do you do when you get paid besides just staying in the house? Some people have good systems already in place when it comes to their finances. And so you'll be able to give someone else, as you're tuning in on today, if you have a good system, a good plan, or some good practices, you may be able to help someone else in our team, on our team, Coach Steele's Finance Training, with this community. You may be able to help someone else. So definitely feel free to comment in here and say some of the things that you do when you get paid, when you get money. Somebody may go to the ATM machine and bring the cash back and throw it up in the air. Some people may want to get on the money phone and have conversations or make videos. What do you do when you get paid? I'm very strategic when I get paid. I'm very, very strategic when I get paid. I like to, definitely check my numbers. I like to see if I made any extra, because a lot of people, when it comes to financial literacy and their financial goals that they have here in 2025, a lot of people already know what numbers they want to hit, what goals they want to hit. And so when you are very structured, you know your budget, you know what you have coming in and going out, and you get paid a little extra, you know it's going to help you hit that mark a little bit faster than what you expected. And so it puts you ahead of schedule financially. And so we definitely want to, when you get paid, evaluate your financial goals and evaluate how what you got paid affects your short-term and your long-term goals. And I'm getting ready to dive into number four, because number three, we talked about automating and setting things aside and who should automate and maybe some people who shouldn't automate. So hello to you, Miss Yvette Steele, my lovely wife. Thank you for tuning in on today when we talk about what do you do when you get paid? What does Yvette Steele do when she gets paid? But anyway, as we tune in on today, what do we do when we get paid? I definitely want to hear from you, your thoughts, your comments of some actions you take after you get paid. So let's look at number four. Yes, number four. I talk about evaluating your budget. Once again, we want to make sure we evaluate your budget. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what we got. Miss Sheila Thomas said 15% goes to my 401k automatically. If you're tuning in on today, you understand that Sheila Thomas is one of those that has it set up, certain things just automatic. She doesn't have to worry about trying to put it there. It's on autopilot. It's set it and forget it. So 15% goes to her 401k automatically. Ties once per month now that I am on a fixed income. So she has it set on automatic and ties once per month now that she is on a fixed income. And so those are some of the things that she does. And that's another part of financial literacy. When we talk about giving, once again, when you want to be a giver, you choose to be a giver, whether it's nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, whether it's to the church, ministry, companies, to less fortunate, in whatever capacity That's another thing that you have to evaluate. That's why number 4 is evaluate your budget and your numbers to make sure you are on track. And so that is definitely a good point that Sheila Thomas brings up when we talk about the giving portion of it as well. So we want to invest, but we also want to make sure we have our numbers and estimates together on how much we're going to give as well. Now, number 4, when we evaluate our budget, we're looking at our numbers, we're looking at our information, we're looking at our short-term goals and our long-term goals. And like I said, if your income, when you get paid, if it's a little bit short than what you expected or a lot shorter than what you expected, then you got to go look at those short-term goals and those long-term goals and find out how does this affect that. So that way you can always keep everything realistic in what's in reach, what you can accomplish, and what you may not be able to accomplish depending on this situation. You may have had to go on leave or take time off. Some people have short-term disability, long-term disability. Life happens, right? So because life happens, we just have to be willing to make adjustments and see what we can do financially. So anytime you get paid, go back and evaluate your budget. And you can also, one thing I love to do after I get paid, when I evaluate my budget, and this is part of step 4 as well, I like to see what is my potential cash flow at the end of every month. So when I get paid, and whether it's in the beginning of the month or whether it's in the middle of the month or the end, I always like to look at the bank account and say, okay, what else do we need to pay for? What hasn't been paid? Okay, the utility bill, if I pay the utility bill, then that'll leave $3,000 left over. Okay, after that's done. Okay, haven't paid a car note. Okay, car note's $1,000. All right, now I got $2,000 left. My point is, what is that potential cash flow? How much am I going to have left over at the end of the month? Because when I see what my potential cash flow is, it gives me another goal to shoot for. So at the end of every month, guys, you should have a goal, a target of cash flow, having money left over at the end of every month after you have paid all your basic needs and expenses. After everything is paid for, what is left over? Because then you can assign that money to do other things, whether it's wants, whether it's fun things, whether it's invest more money, whatever those goals are, money set aside for vacation. And regardless, I tell everyone this: if you have extra money left over, whether it's part of your emergency fund or whether it's money set aside for a vacation, whatever those goals are, make sure that you put that money while it's sitting there, instead of just leaving it in a regular checking account, put it in a high yield interest savings account. You sit that money in a high yield interest savings account, it will grow, it'll make a little interest, and a little extra is better than nothing at all. There's no need in loaning your money out to the bank for free. And so in the comment section, I've already left a link for a high yield interest savings account where you can get about 3.8%, somewhere in that range, on your money. And so, for example, let's say you got a little over $15,000 sitting in a high yield interest savings account. With that, you're probably going to make, I would say, an extra $55, maybe $60 a month just by setting that $15,000 in a high yield interest savings account. So whether it's $15,000, whether it's $5,000 or $3,000, why sit it in a checking account where it's not going to grow at all, when you can at least put it somewhere where it'll make a little money? It's money that has to sit in the account anyway until you spend it. So you might as well put it somewhere that is going to pay you until you figure out where you want it to go. For some people, their monthly paycheck, just having it sit in that account until you spend it, it might make you an extra $9 a month. But guess what? That's an extra $9 you didn't have. Well, 9 times 10 months, that's $90, 11 months. When we get to November, that's $99. Okay, now when December hits, you got about $100 that you made extra just from doing nothing extra that you can spend on that Christmas gift that you needed to buy. Or you might be able to use it for gas money, whatever the goals are. So just keep that in mind. Put your money to work. Allow it to sit in a high yield interest savings account. Am I telling you take thousands and thousands of dollars and sit it in a high yield interest savings account, I would say just sit your emergency fund in there or your regular paycheck in there. Some of that other money can be invested in other assets. I mean, when you have 3 to 6 months of emergency fund already saved up, that's a pretty decent amount. All right. So when we talk about number 4, we're evaluating our budget. We want to make sure we're on track with our short-term and our long-term goals. And we don't want money just lying around doing anything. We want to put it in a high yield interest savings account. If you need more information about the high yield interest savings account, you can see down here at the ticker that's at the bottom, coachsteelefinance@gmail.com. So feel free to email me if you have more questions, whether it comes to eliminating debt, whether it's a high yield interest savings account, getting some financial coaching. On today here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are talking about tips, things we can do after we get paid. I've named about 4 tips so far. Kashana says she just stays in the house. I need her to do more than just stay in the house. Let's review that budget. Let's go over the numbers. Let's see how much progress we're making. And so here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook. Even if you watch only on Facebook, go over to that YouTube channel and subscribe. We're going to run those numbers up. And number 5, this is a difficult one. Number 5, I used to struggle with this. Number 5 is treat yourself. Number 5 is treat yourself, but I say treat yourself when the time is right. When I'm trying to reach my financial goals and I'm trying to hit certain marks, I will not treat myself. I won't buy anything new. I am so locked in and focused on my goals that it's just difficult to try to go do something else because I don't feel like, it's not that I don't deserve it, but I will hold off on doing certain things so that I can reach my goal. And in certain times, it's okay to do that. Like, if you're getting ready to make a big purchase and you don't want to mess up anything, especially credit-wise, definitely hold off. Don't mess up the deal. But even when I'm trying to reach certain basic financial goals, until I hit that goal, I will not reward myself or treat myself. But it is okay to reward yourself and treat yourself along the journey. And if you're just tuning in now to Coach Steele's Finance Trainer, we're talking about 5 steps that you can take and things you can do after you get paid. Feel free to leave your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, whether you are live on YouTube. My YouTube audience, I can see all your comments. Feel free to comment on YouTube, or whether you are on Facebook. Jump in the comment section. Tell me good morning. I want to know how you're doing and who's tuning in on today. And I appreciate any support from you all. And Facebook allows you to send me stars. So feel free to send some stars to me as well. And you'll see that down at the bottom of Facebook where it says send stars to pin your comment here. So definitely appreciate that if you send some stars as well. It's all love. We want to give out some game here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, because our goal is to see people improve financially, to graduate, to get to a place to where finances are not stressing you out. Now more than ever, it is very important that we make sure that people are reaching their financial goals. There are people being laid off left and right now. Does anyone have a family member, a loved one, or a friend, or someone that you know that has recently lost their job? There are a lot of people that are losing their jobs right now because of what's going on with the transition and the presidency, what's going on politically. A lot of people are being laid off. A lot of people are being fired. And now financially, they have to get their life together. And you don't want to be trying to get your life together at the last second financially. We want to have a plan now, not a plan 5 years from now, not a plan 2 months from now. We want to develop a good, strong financial plan now so that we can have financial success. And the only way we do that is if we put measures in place. Good morning to you, Lisa Scott. Appreciate you tuning in on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Lisa, all the way back from Savannah. High school. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, high school. Windsor Forest. But anyway, definitely appreciate you for tuning. I don't know if you went to Durin. Lisa, did you go to Durin? I can't remember. My memory is bad. I'm getting up there in age. I got some gray hairs going. But anyway, thank you for tuning in and telling me good morning. Appreciate your support. Appreciate that compliment, saying great information. And we have to continue to share this information. Guys, number 5, like I said, one of my weaknesses is treating myself. I always wait till I hit the goal and then I'll reward myself or treat myself. But it is okay to be strategic and treat yourself and reward yourself along the way as you make progress. You don't have to wait till the end. And I used to be so bad about it that, my wife would be like, it is time for a new shirt. It is time for some new shoes. She'll go buy me some outfits or something like that. Because as a man, you're thinking, I'll go without whatever I need to go without to make sure that my family has, to make sure that my family can comfortably maintain themselves. Thank you for helping my memory. I knew it was Windsor. I just wasn't sure if you went to the Ren. So thank you for that as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, how do you reward yourself along the way? Do you wait till you hit your goal, or do you or do you reward yourself along the way when it comes to making financial progress? I reward myself along the way now more than I used to. But years ago, when things were tight and we were struggling back in our 20s, I didn't care about a reward. I just wanted to breathe. I wanted to be free financially and be comfortably. And I'll probably make a post about this. I'll probably make a video and put it on the YouTube channel. But I just had another successful milestone, another goal that I wanted to hit financially, as far as my financial goals. And I'll probably make a video about it and evaluate it so that some people who are interested can see. So make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'll probably make this video in the next week or two. So make sure you subscribe to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, my brother. Happy to have you tuning in on today. Appreciate you tuning in and your support. But one of the newer financial goals that I hit that I am pumped about, I am excited about. I was going to hold off on making this announcement. I was going to announce it like next week. But I'm going to tell you all a secret as you're tuning in on today. I'm going to whisper it. I bought another investment property. I bought another long-term rental property. And I am so excited about this rental property that I just bought. And I started looking at it in December 2024, about 2 months ago. And while I'm talking, guys, feel free to comment in the comment section about some of the things I just asked you on far as how do you treat yourself? Do you treat yourself during the process, or do you wait to the end? So this rental property that I bought, guys, I'm so excited about it. And one of the smooth transitions and things about it, thank you, Sheila. That's what I'm talking about. Sheila, when I made that post, you made the post and I commented under it. I think about how the day was going to go or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was keeping myself locked in and positive because it was so much going on. We're trying to close on this property and get the paperwork and everything together. And I don't want anything to go wrong. So when I was commenting under your Facebook post, I was using what you said to encourage myself. So as you all are tuning in on today, I just made an announcement that I did buy and acquire another investment property. So I keep going a little bit higher. I'm building up a nice real estate portfolio, which produces passive income. A tenant is already in the property. So the property already has a tenant. So I don't have to go find a tenant or someone to live there and go through that process and get my property management involved. It is already cash flowing. And so that's a beautiful thing about investment properties. It is already cash flowing. It's already set up, ready to rock and roll. All I have to do is put my name in place and make sure that I receive the money when it comes. So that's another beautiful thing when you are looking at acquiring passive income through using real estate, investment properties, and things like that. A lot of people, and it's funny because sometimes when I use examples, I may use something similar. When I'm doing numbers and math, I may use something similar that I'm dealing with, but I just don't go into detail about it on Coach Steele's finance training because I'm still working out the deal. And so even with this last property, I was telling you all last week about someone who had like $20,000, what you could do with it. And so if you missed out on that video, go back and watch it, and you'll get to see some of the things that I was talking about. Thank you, May Butler. I appreciate the love. She said, Elder Steele, I am so very happy for you. I am so happy for myself too. Because I have financial goals, and that really is going to help me reach my financial goal. I don't just preach and tell you all things about financial literacy and not practice those things, not exercise those things myself as well. So definitely want everyone to be tuned in. So last week when I was saying, hey, if you got $20,000, what do you do with it? You leave it in a savings account, a regular savings account where it makes less than 1%. And I think that number was like $33. Then we did another scenario where I said, what if you put it in a high yield interest savings account where it makes like 4% interest? Then I believe it was about $133. And so it showed the difference of, depending on where that $20,000 was, that person was missing out on $100 a month just because they didn't move the money into the right place. Then I said, what if someone took that $20,000 and they bought it, they put it as a down payment on an investment property? But keep in mind, you don't always have to use your own money. When it comes to real estate, you can do no money down. You can do owner financing. You can be the investor that collects funds and invest the money. You find the deals and pay other people out, but you still have equity or you still have ownership. So there's a number of ways to do real estate. But let's say you take that $20,000 and you put it down on a property, and that property is making you an extra $300 a month. There's three scenarios. You can make $33 a month on that $20,000. You can make $133 a month, or you could potentially make $300 a month. It's the same amount of money. It's the same $20,000. It was all about where it was put. And so I'm excited about it, and I'll do a video kind of doing the evaluation of why I decided to buy the property, what are the long-term benefits from it, and things like that. So I'm super pumped about it. And the way I did it, oh my goodness, it was truly a blessing, because I didn't really have to come out of my pocket. I didn't have to come out of my pocket or my checking account to get the deal done. I leveraged different things that I had with my real estate portfolio. So all I had to do was sit there and sign papers at the closing. There is a way, and I keep talking about this here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, there is a way to maneuver through this financial system so smooth that it looks like you're moonwalking. And so we have to educate ourselves and learn how to maneuver through this financial system. Because now that I have another investment property, what just increased? If you're tuning in on today, if I have another investment property that is cash flowing, what just increased for me? And so if you're tuning in, you can write down the two things that increased. One, my passive income has just increased. In other words, the money that doesn't require me to clock in to make, because it's through the real estate portfolio, it has now just increased with the new property. And that means my cash flow has increased as well. So those are two basic things right there. Passive income has increased, cash flow has increased, and there's another thing that is going to increase over a period of time with that real estate, and that's the equity in the property and the value of the property. So basically that means my net worth is going to increase over time, and also has increased immediately because I did not buy the property for what it's actually worth. So I bought it for much less than what it's worth, which means now my net worth has increased as well. So there's a lot of good things that can happen when you are being strategic with when you invest and why you invest. But I want to talk to you all today And we went over those different 5 steps of what do you do when you get paid? What habits do you have? What are some of the things that you do? Whether you stay in the house, whether you go over your budget, like I told you, number one, you want to make sure that your paycheck is accurate, that you got paid the right amount. And if not, make sure they fix it. If they missed out on an hour, if they missed out on a sale, commission, something's going on with how much they have going to your 401k or medical, whatever it is, make sure you check all of that stuff and make sure it's accurate. That's number one. Number two, we want to make sure we pay our bills and our debt and expenses. But like I said earlier, we got to be strategic about it, whether we use Snowball, whether we use Cash Flow Index, whether we use the Avalanche, whether we use the HELOC strategy. And if you're tuning in on today and you want to learn how to pay your mortgage off at an accelerated rate, most people who join our program with using that HELOC strategy with accelerated banking, they'll take a 30-year mortgage and pay it off in 5 to 7 years. That also helps you increase your cash flow. It helps eliminate debt and also improves your net worth. Number three, we want to automate some things when the time is right. That way we can set it and forget it. Ron Doc says, give me. Yes, appreciate you tuning in on today, Mr. Ron Doc. I just added another real estate, another rental property to the portfolio to increase that passive income. I'm excited about it. And I still need to get with you, Doc. That way I can have an opportunity to talk with you about your company that you have as well. And actually, one of the bracelets I bought from y'all years ago, I've been wearing it lately. It says, I love Jesus. So anyway, as you all are tuning in on today, number 4, evaluate your budget and see if you're on track after you get paid. Make sure you try to predict and see what is your cash flow going to be at the end of the month. And when you got paid, find out how it affects your short-term and your long-term goals. Are you still on track, or did you not make as much and it threw you off? Find all of that stuff out as well, because you want to make sure you stay on track and all your goals are realistic with what you have planned. And number 5, treat yourself throughout the process when the time is right. I talked about how I used to wait till I hit my goals. I didn't care what I looked like. To a certain degree. I wasn't worried about what other people said. I could have money or be perfectly fine or could buy things, but I would just not express it financially until I hit other goals. That was my way of making me reward myself. And now I reward myself along the way. Small rewards. Find creative ways to reward yourself. It may not always be financially where you go buy something. You may, Ron Doc says, buy yourself a steak. You may decide to say, well, you know what? Taking a walk on the beach isn't expensive. I just need the gas money to get there if you're here in the South. So that may be your reward. For somebody else, it may be, hey, I'm going to go out and get some ice cream, or take yourself to the movies. But if you do go to the movies, and I'm not telling you to do this or not to do this, you just decide what it makes sense for you financially. Going to the movies can be expensive. Woo, you spend a lot of money. Just going with 2 people can become very, very expensive. And so let's say you reward yourself going to the movies. Now, you may be hungry when you're there, right? Anybody get hungry when they go to the movies? Anybody get hungry? So you have to be strategic about, if you get thirsty or if you may want some snacks or something to eat, how can you make that movie experience less expensive as possible? You might have to be creative to make, when you reward yourself going to the movies, to make that experience less expensive as possible. Anybody have some tips? What are some things you do to make that movie experience less expensive? Certain movie theaters have like discounts, whether you're military or if you get a certain amount of points because you're a member. So what are some things you can do to reward yourself to make it less expensive? And we're using the movie theater as an example. Doc says, I have to remember to do something for myself. I'll be so locked in sometimes. That's how I am. My wife has to wake me up. When I see my wife come in the house with some new shirts or new pants or something, at that point, I know I've gone too far. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. Let me wake back up, come back to reality. So that's one thing that you can do. It's good to have an accountability partner, and it's good to have someone who will let you know, like, all right, hey, you know what? Come up for air, reward yourself. So that's always important to have as well. What are some things you can do to make that movie experience less expensive? Well, so y'all just gonna make me say it, huh? So y'all don't take food in the movie theater? No one takes? Let's say you like Butterfingers. Are you gonna buy the Butterfingers from the movie theater concession stand? Or is she putting the Butterfingers in her purse? Some of y'all might not be going to the movie theaters with the right person. When you go to the movie theaters, are you wearing a jacket that's a little heavy, that's got some extra pockets? I just need to know. What do you do to make that movie theater experience less expensive? You know what I wish? I told my wife this the other day. We went to the movies. I said, if they would let us bring the popcorn, the microwavable popcorn, I would take like 2 or 3 microwavable popcorn packets. Okay. I don't blame you. I'm trying not to do it myself. That's his final answer. And then let us use their microwave, and then let me pop my own popcorn, because I could bring my own popcorn. But, I don't know if they'll let us get down like that or let us do it. But yeah, take somebody to the movies with you that's got a purse or a nice size jacket. Why? Because you're on a budget and you're trying to reach your goals. You're trying to hit your targets here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, as when we talk about what to do when we get paid. And so I'm excited for everyone that's tuning in on today. I'm excited about you hitting your goals and your targets in 2025. Everyone has a different route to get there. One size doesn't fit all. These are just some basic tips and hints and tricks and stuff that you can do to reach your goals. So don't think you have to do it in a specific order. You may find a better order and flow to do it than what I mentioned today. Let's see. That said, we should be discussing legal options to reduce the cost of movie experience. Well, I did mention one, see if they have discounts or military discounts and things like that. I'm just here to help the people. It's not about me. It's about you. And so, I'm not saying take a whole water bottle in there, I'm not. But if you do take the water bottle, make sure you get those packets, whether it's the Lipton tea or whether it's those different flavors. That way you got some flavored water in there. You can put the sugar in there, shake it up. Your neighbor or whoever you sitting by in the movie theater, you're just shaking up the water bottle. Take your time. So those are some other things you can do as well. So I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying, keep an open mind of some creative things you can do to make the movie experience less expensive, because I need you all to reward yourself, whether it's free walks on the beach or whether you make the food cost less expensive at the movie theater. But I appreciate you tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training on today, when we talk about 5 steps after getting paid, some things we should do after we get our money. That way we don't make mistakes and not stay locked in to reach our goals. Thanks once again for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and I'll see you next Saturday. You all have a blessed day.